Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld again, and today we're going to look at a pretty controversial topic in the Battlefield community at the moment. And that's the topic of Battlefield 5, in quotes, apparently not having enough content, which honestly I think really depends on how you look at it. But even so, it's obviously important enough to get people talking, and one of the things people are suggesting is that maybe the old premium DLC model would have been better than the new live service model. So the question is, what's more important, a cheap game, a working game, or a game with lots of content? Well, that's what we're going to get into right now. Alright, so the first thing I want to point out is that the reason EA chose to get rid of Premium in the first place was because people didn't like it. And I know a lot of people recently have been saying that it's the solution to the lack of content issues in BF5, but if you think that, I'm sorry, but it's just not. I mean, for a start, you know people hate the idea of paying more to get a complete game, and ultimately that's what Premium was. And it wasn't cheap either. I mean, for Battlefield 1, Premium was basically only a little bit cheaper than the actual game, and that felt a little bit like a rip-off. Not just that though, I mean, sure, you did get a bunch of new weapons and maps, but it's not like you were getting a whole new game's worth of content. And also, here's the big one, not everyone had Premium, so if you wanted to squad up with friends who didn't, well, tough, you'd just end up playing the vanilla maps anyway. Also, one of the worst things about this split in the player base was the fact that in regions with smaller populations like Australia, after a few weeks, you just couldn't find servers running the content at all. And I mean, a lot of people have been pointing out that that's a problem that mainly Australia just had to deal with, but I mean, back in the BF4 days, I used to play on US servers quite a lot, and I can tell you, I'm not sure what servers you guys were playing on, but I found it really hard to find DLC servers back then as well. So here's the issue, right? Firstly, people don't like the idea of playing twice for their games, but on the other hand, people also have some impression that if they pay more, then they'll get more content. And look, that might be true, even though DICE devs have specifically said this week that it's not, but the point is, people really don't know what they want. The fact is, though, like I said before, the reason they got rid of Premium was because it was unpopular, so whether or not you think BF5 has problems now, Premium is still going to be unpopular if they ever bring it back. And so in a nutshell, the solution isn't to bring it back because, quote, it's better than the live service. The solution has to be something else, something that makes everyone happy. And that's the hardest part, right? Because we as a community can't decide what that is, and we also have a habit of shooting down publishers when they try out new monetization strategies. But I think one thing we can agree on, though, is that we do want a more polished experience from launch, which is something that's been a really big problem in Battlefield games ever since probably Battlefield 3. And also, I know at the moment people are really jumping on this idea that Battlefield 5 doesn't have enough content, but you've got to look at this in perspective. Because, I mean, maybe you weren't around to remember Hardline or BF1, but we've been complaining about lack of content in Battlefield games for a while as well. And remember, both of those games had Premium. Now, there's no point making a video like this unless you can come up with a solution, which, as I think I might have pointed out maybe a few times in this video, is not Premium. But sure, I mean, if you do want to have a discussion about paying more for content, well, that's fine. But come on, paying double for something that splits the player base is just dumb. What I think DICE really needs to do instead is try to hone in on what Battlefield actually is, because I think one of the biggest problems is that they're trying to be a bit too ambitious with each new game. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is I personally don't think Battlefield 5 has a lack of content. The biggest problem is that a lot of the content it does have is stuff that the average player doesn't actually care about. For example, look, I know a lot of people love single player, but at the end of the day, the majority of players at the moment are here for the multiplayer. And obviously the other part of BF5 we can bring up here is Firestorm as well, which, like I said in a recent video, is a great mode in itself, but the problem is it's just so different, it really should have been its own standalone game. And also I think the problem is probably deeper than that as well. Just look at how few game modes actually have people playing them. It's basically 90% conquest that you see in the server browser. And so I don't think the solution is for DICE to figure out how they can make more money to make more content. It's how to trim the fat and just focus on getting the core Battlefield experience perfect before they start adding anything else new. But on that note, that just about wraps up this video, and I've actually left this one a bit more open-ended than usual because I really want you guys to give me your opinion in the comments. What do you think DICE could do to improve Battlefield in the next game? What do you think is the core Battlefield experience? And if they did have to cut something out, what do you think that should be? As always, though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and please feel free to check out the links in the description if you want to see any more of these videos. And also, don't forget you can find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch. And as always, see you later, and have a good one.